Hey everybody, welcome back. In this module, I'm going to teach you how to set up your very first meeting. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over to zoom.us. Once you get there, it will probably remember you from your last login. And if that's the case, you're just going to hit on My Account over here, and it brings you to your profile page. Now, what you want to do is click over here to, actually you could do one of two things. You could go to your Meetings tab, or you could just click on Schedule a Meeting. So we're going to take the shortcut and we're going to click on Schedule a Meeting. And here's where you fill out all the information about your meeting. So I'm going to type in here, sample meeting, learn how to set up your first Zoom meeting. So you can put a title in there, the topic. I would be as descriptive as possible. Put in a little description. It is optional, not necessary. And then you can pick your date. And a little calendar will drop down and you can pick whatever date you would like to schedule this meeting. Then you will pick your time. So you can pick any time that you need and then pick the AM or the PM. The duration for an hour. Here's what you need to understand about a basic membership to Zoom is you only have 40 minutes and you can with a meeting of 3 or more participants. If you have just one other person in the Zoom call with you, you can go for as long as you want. Set the time zone for your specific time zone. It will automatically calculate to a different time zone if your invitee is in, like, say, California or another part of the world. It'll automatically calculate on their end. Just pay attention to your time zone here. Over here, you can pick whether or not this meeting repeats. So if you have a weekly meeting with somebody at 1 o'clock on a Wednesday every week, you can click this little box that's called recurring meeting, and you can pick how often that meeting happens. So let's put it down for weekly, and then you can pick if it does every 1 week, every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, how often, what day of the week it occurs on, and then when you want it to end. So you can have some fun there with that if you do have some recurring meetings. Now, the next one is a meeting password, and I really recommend that you set up a password for your meetings so that you don't have your Zoom meeting crashed or hijacked, because there have been people who have been hacking the system and have been showing up for meetings that don't belong there, and maybe they might even share some inappropriate content. So good practice here, best practice here is to put in a password. Okay, I really like this function down here where you can either turn on the video on or off for both the participant and the host. And I like to turn mine off because I like to enter a room looking the right way. So I don't want to be fumbling for stuff as I'm logging into a Zoom meeting. So I always keep mine to off. And then when I'm in the meeting, I will turn on my video manually. For my guests, however, I always like to keep their video on, only because sometimes guests may not be really familiar with how to use Zoom, and I want to be able to ease in the burden for them a little bit. And then here I want to give people the option if they are going to use audio through a phone or through the computer. Some people don't have a good speaker on their computer, so you will often see them dial in on Zoom through the internet and have their video up, but actually be talking through their phone, just depending on the hardware of their computer system. So I always let people have the option to sign up either through the computer audio or the telephone. And then here's some things, best practices for your meeting. So let's say you are running 2 minutes late. You may want to turn on allowing people to join before you actually start the meeting. I like to do that for my meeting attendees because sometimes they like to network before I get there, and that's fine by me. It's all personal preference. The other thing you might want to do is mute people upon entry because you don't know what their background is like, if it's noisy, and you as the moderator can always unmute somebody for them if they don't know how to do it. The other thing you could do if you don't want people to join before the host, before you show up, is you can actually have people in a little meeting room. They won't be able to talk to each other. They'll just be sitting there until you invite them into the meeting. So it's, again, personal preference. I kind of like to take the extra work out of it. So I always let people join before I show up. I turn off the waiting room. And then the other thing you can do if you want is to automatically record the meeting so you have all the details, and then you can send that video out to other people who missed the meeting. So you can turn that on automatically. I don't like to do that because video tends to take up a ton of room on your computer, and it's not really good for the space of your computer. So I turn on the record button only when I need to record. And so after you go through all those settings, all you do is you just hit save, and all of those settings are ready. They will be the same settings for every meeting that you schedule. Okay, in our next module, I will teach you actually how to start a meeting with Zoom.